Hello there. I'm Scotty, and you're not Dan. Here we go, my God. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man from 2002. 20 years ago. Happy 20th anniversary birthday to Spider-Man. I didn't see this when this came out. I don't know why. I just didn't go to see it. Actually, I think the first Spider-Man movie I saw in the theater was maybe Spider-Man 3, but I didn't see the other two for some reason. Maybe I saw Spider-Man 2. I don't remember. But I was a Spider-Man fan growing up, right? The Spider-Man animated series, I was all over that. So I was excited when this was coming out. Didn't go see it. Still don't know why. Maybe they couldn't get out there. I don't know. But, yeah. And so 20 years later, how does this movie hold up? Well, it's still a good movie. Don't get me wrong. But I've come to realize throughout the years, all the other Spider-Man stuff we've gotten, these Raimi movies are corny. They are corny. They are, like, some of the dialogue in this. So, Spider-Man, are you in or out? It's you who's out, Gobby. Out of your mind. Like, there's a conversation. There's many awkward conversations between MJ and Peter. Like, who wrote the dialogue? Mary Jane legitimately says in one of the talks, "I like cheeseburgers." Okay, dialogue in this. Before we get going, Bruce Watch. Actually, Bruce Watch. We're gonna wait till we get going. But so we're gonna go through the movie as usual. Overall thoughts first. I still think this is pretty good. It holds up somewhat. The CGI is still a little wonky, 20 years ago. And CGI has come a long way. You see the Spider-Man movies now and how good the CGI look, but there's still some movies with bad CGI. Depends on how much money you can make. I do want to point out that I don't know if anyone else sees this, but Tobey Maguire and Sam Raimi look very similar to the point where I thought they were related, but they're not. They're not. There is some really weird stuff in this movie, which we'll get to as we go through. So, yeah, we start off with this opening Danny Elfman score, and graphic stuff, which kind of looks like it could be from a video game, but it's all right. And then we get a voiceover that does bookend the movie. It was like, "You know who I am? Sure you want to know?" And then we have Peter missing the bus. And then no one wants to sit by them, even like the nerdy people. I don't know. And they do "Oh, that's not my, I wish there was, Mary Jane was my girlfriend," and stuff like that. And so, for years, like, everybody praises Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire's the best Spider-Man, the best Spider-Man. Even like when Andrew Garfield came along and they said, "Oh, Andrew Garfield, he's good, but Tobey's still good." And Tom Holland came along, and then there was conversations going back and forth. Who's better? Who's better? Who's better? And people still stand up for Tobey Maguire, but I gotta tell you, he's awkward. I don't know if it's the dialogue or Tobey Maguire's acting, but he comes off awkward. Like I said, some of the conversations he has with MJ, they're awkward. There's some of the dialogue that he has, some of the way he carries himself, just awkward. Speaking of awkward, James Franco plays Harry Osborn. And I'm going to tell you this right now. I think the biggest mistake that the Raimi trilogy made, it's also a mistake that the Amazing Spider-Man movies made, was making Harry a villain. Yes, I know in the comics, Harry eventually becomes the Green Goblin. And I know there's this story arc of bringing them back around. But Harry himself, I have a way they could have fixed it in Spider-Man 3, because there's a whole bunch of problems with those. They were really leading towards this arc. I don't know, I just really think that Harry shouldn't be an enemy. Like, he could be Spider-Man's enemy, and that kind of goes into the second one about the reveal that Spider-Man he didn't need to know, but but yeah, and I imagine the reason I'll say awkward because of the way James Franco's in right now with all the reported charges, but and we have Willem Dafoe as Norman Osborn. Hey, Peter. Seth Rollins' grandfather right there. Or maybe father, I don't know. Seth Rollins is close to my age, so maybe father, I don't know. It's funny, like, Willem Dafoe, the costume they gave him in this, yeah, it's a little Power Ranger-ish, but I liked it. I didn't like the way that they changed his costume. Like, he had no mask. And it's like, well, he has to wear a mask. Even if you don't want him to have that stupid-ass helmet, he has to wear a mask. The Green Goblin wears a mask. It's just stupid. Like they did with the Green Goblin in Amazing Spider-Man 2 to mutate him. And now I understand there are some comics, and I know that Amazing Spider-Man movies are based off the Ultimate Spider-Man, where the Green Goblin was a giant green hulking monster. But in my opinion, he needs to have a rubber mask. I'm just saying. Yeah, they're at this school trip with the most weird whispering teacher ever. Oh my nice. Well, but taking on this trip. I kid you not. It's like, oh, weird teacher. And you know what happens? He goes to take a picture. Spider comes down, bites him, and then he gets the powers. He goes home, and we see, and this is probably before this, but we have Aunt May, Uncle Ben. Aunt May is played by Rosemary Harris, who was in The Gift, which I just reviewed. It's up on the channel as you're probably watching this is already up on the channel, but she's in that. Cliff Robertson, may he rest in peace, plays Uncle Ben, and the only thing I really know him on is he was in the Adam West Batman show as one of the villains. That's all I know him from. I don't remember what villain it was. But it's Uncle Ben. And another thing that I think the Amazing Spider-Man does better is the relationship between Peter and Uncle Ben. Where here, when Uncle Ben drops him off at the library, they get, like, he goes off on Peter for no reason. There was no swelling of anything. Like, he missed the paint thing. Like, he was supposed to come back and help him paint. He missed it because he got his powers and things were happening and all that stuff. But they don't have an argument. There's no big kerfuffle over it. It's just, they're concerned, but they don't have an argument. And then when he takes him to the library, it's like he blows off in his face. He goes, "Oh, no, I'm not your father. Just stop trying to be one." And I'm like, it's okay. Is there a reason for that? No. But yeah, he gets his powers. We get this whole montage of him trying to call his web. We get this thing at school where he's like in a fight with Flash. And he moves out of the way. There's a thing with the tray. And apparently he caught the tray. Took a whole bunch of takes to do it. Apparently it's not CGI. He actually caught the tray, which I don't know if I believe it now, but we got Flash Thompson. And another thing I'm going to stand up with on Amazing Spider-Man movies, at least the first one, is that Flash is underutilized in this. We see him here. I think there's like a deleted scene in the second one where he's graduating, but or is he graduating? No, he graduates in this one. Never mind. I don't think about Amazing Spider-Man again. He's underutilized. There's not really much with Flash. She's dating Mary Jane, then they're not, and then she's dating Harry for some reason. Again, they're trying too hard to kind of push Harry as an antagonist for him when Harry is supposed to be his best friend. So I'm going by the logic of the animated series, and yes, there was a point where Harry was mad at him for getting with Mary Jane when they were supposedly together, which I don't think they were ever actually together on that show, even though they did date, but he get all pissed and like, you took Mary Jane from me. And again, he's supposed to be Peter's best friend. That's what I like about Ned in the MCU, is that he has a friend. And then I found out that Ned in the comics becomes the Hobgoblin, and I went, don't do this. Thankfully, if they do that now, it won't be as bad because no one knows who he is, so they're not friends anymore, which will soften the blow. But we don't need the best friend turning enemy thing. It's been done too much. So if he's not, I don't know. It would still hurt Peter, I guess. But for us fans, I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, and there's one thing that Sam Raimi does with most of his villains. I'll say most, is that he makes them sympathetic. Even when Norman is freaking out and he's in goblin form, you see that when he has the confrontations with the mirror image of him and with the goblin voice, that he, he is scared. The look on his face compared to the, that he's just, that he is scared. He has no idea what's going on. He's not in control because he's taking this vital stuff, then he smashes on the ground, and then we have. So if he takes the juice, but then the smoke thing comes up, what turns him? I don't know. And he gets in the glider. It's a military thing. He gets fired, and then all this stuff, and it's back to formula. Becomes the Green Goblin, basically. So yes, and then we get the wrestling scene, and this scene is compiled of just cameos. Bruce Watch. We get Bruce Campbell as the announcer of the event, but when Peter goes to sign up for it, the person who signs him up is Octavia Spencer, and it's always weird seeing an Oscar winner before they win the Oscar in a small role like this. But yeah, he says, "I'm the Man Spider," and he's like, "Oh, that sucks." And the Amazing Spider-Man, that's not my name. And then he gets in a wrestling ring cage with Bonesaw McGraw, played by Macho Man Randy Savage. Ooh, yeah, Bonesaw is ready. I got you for 3 minutes. Yes. But because, and I always found this to be bullshit, but because the print says, yeah, you have to last at least 3 minutes with him to get the money, he doesn't get the entire money that he needs to buy a car to impress Mary Jane. So they don't give him the entire money. And this is only a setup so that Dennis Carradine, who is the robber, can show up. And his name's never said in this. They say it in the third one. We're going to get to that can of worms when we get to that, because that is just holy retcon Batman. But we see Dennis Carradine rob him. And they go, "What are you doing? You could have crushed him." I don't see where that's my problem, because that's what he said to him. So, and then Uncle Ben gets shot. Turns out it's that guy, and they do a horrible job of lighting. The scene his face is supposed to be in shadow when he's tracking him down in that warehouse, but you can see his face. You see that it's him. So when the reveal comes, where it's revealed to Peter, and you already saw his face like 3 times before. Just saying. But yeah, I forgot to mention the scene where he's testing out his powers. He says Shazam, up and away, web, fly. Yeah. Jokey. Yeah. Shazam was DC at this time, and Marvel, whatever. Captain Marvel. I think it was Captain Marvel at this time, and that wasn't Shazam yet. But yeah. And then we get the parade scene. It's the Thanksgiving parade, but they had the Thanksgiving dinner at some other point. I don't know. Maybe it's not the Thanksgiving parade. I don't know. It's supposed to be. You have Macy Gray at the Macy's Thanksgiving. No, I'm not trying to think of singing the song. Green Goblins show up. We get some more horrible CGI with the jumping on the balloons. And Mary Jane's just like a geisha woman. I don't know. And I'm gonna give credit to nostalgia credit, because now that I watch this, I can't not hear it. When he goes to talk to Mr. Fargus, who's in a wheelchair, Harry does. The Nostalgia critic put up a joke. He's like, James Franco's audition to be Tommy Wiseau in 3, 2, 1. Oh, hi, Mr. Fargus. So now every time that I watch this, I hear Tommy Wiseau. Oh, hi, Mr. Fargus. So anyway, how's your sex life? Yeah. It's not true. I did not hit her. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mr. Fargus. Oh, hi, Harry. What's going on? Oh, Mary Jane says I hit her. Did you? No, don't even ask. Girls are strange sometimes. You ever think a girl could cheat? Why do you ask? I used to know this one girl, she had a dozen guys. One of them found out about it and beat her senseless. What a story, Mr. Fargus. I'm getting off track. But, yeah, I just hear that now. And, of course, Mary Jane is down to distress. And there's one big thing going through all three of these movies is that as much as I harp on that there's too many strong female characters, everything has to be female empowerment, some characters do need that. In the comics, Mary Jane was a strong female character. In all three Sam Raimi movies, she's a damsel in distress. Every time. Which makes Peter's decision at the end of the film bullshit. Because, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. It doesn't make any sense. So, yes, and he saves her. Goblin gets away. What have you. And then there's the thing with the burning building, I think it was before this. He goes in. He gets clipped by the goblin stangs. Taken to a rooftop. They do the thing and slap him upside the head. I don't know. I don't know. We get to the Thanksgiving thing. And this is where the shit hits the fan because they're all there. And Norman notices Peter has a scratch on his arm and figures out he's Spider-Man. So he comes back and attacks Aunt May, makes her finish her prayer. Finish it! Amivel! No. Then he kidnaps Mary Jane. And we have the Gwen Stacy death scene, but with Mary Jane and she doesn't die. And we basically do Batman Forever where he saved the kids on the bus to save Mary Jane, and he does both because superhero, right? And then we had to fight in this, I don't know, dark side graveyard. It's a graveyard, I think. And we get, the fight, which is nice fight. Meh. Helmet comes off. It's real that it's him. And he said, no, we don't have to do this. And then, Godspeed, Spider-Man. And he senses it, jumps. Oh, that's what you get. Oh. And he gets, it goes right into his crotch. He was like, And then, here's, okay. So Spider-Man takes him home. Drops him off. Why doesn't Spider-Man say, he doesn't say anything. He's just like, you killed my father. Why doesn't he say, no, it was the Green Goblin? You can clearly tell it was his glider that pierced him. I tried to save your father. It didn't work. He says nothing and then just leaves. Why didn't you say something? Defend yourself. Come on. I digress. And we have a funeral. And this is the opportune time for Mary Jane at her ex-boyfriend's dad's funeral. At Peter's best friend's dad's funeral. To hit on Peter and say, I love you. Funeral. And then Peter says this. Can't be together. And the reason that he gives is because, and he gives this reason in the second one too, but the reason that he does this is because if his enemies knew who he was, she'd be in danger. Forget who he was. She was already in danger, and he didn't even know. Well, I guess both times they figured it out. I don't know. But still, she's in danger anyway. I guess when Doc Ock in the second one throws the bus, he doesn't know. But, come on. She's in danger anyway. And, yeah, and he's, I am Spider-Man, or whatever. Movie ends. And I forgot to mention, when they're in a hospital. He's talking to Aunt May, and Aunt May says, when you first saw Mary Jane, you put my arm and went, Aunt May, is that an angel? I don't know, to Anakin Skywalker for my, are you an angel? You know, I hate that line. Along with the sand line, too. I do not like sand. It's coarse, rough, and gets everywhere. I'm just saying. But I think it's still a decent movie. It's not the best. There's a lot of corny and cheesy dialogue. Mary Jane doesn't really have that much of an arc. She's just there to be damsel in distress. Harry's arc, like I said, I don't like where it goes. Because I don't like the, you know, being an enemy thing. They're supposed to be friends. You know? He doesn't really have a friend. He has Mary Jane, but they're always going back and forth. They're like, she doesn't have someone to talk to. You know, throughout these different Aunt May, and she gets her little, I am the hero in all of us, whatever. But yeah, it's still pretty good. Yeah, the upside down kiss scene. All right, let's talk about that scene. Nipple central, am I right? I mean, come on. Good God. Sam Raimi knew what he was doing for that scene. I mean, she wasn't, he had to have known. She had to have known. There's no way I didn't know that when that shirt got wet. I mean, hello? I mean, come on. It just, nah. Man, I'm just saying. But, yeah, I thought, you know, Willem Dafoe was still a good villain. Tobey Maguire's still a decent Spider-Man. James Franco was good. Kirsten Dunst is okay. Rosemary Harris is great as Aunt May. Even if I do prefer Sally Field myself. But, yeah. Like I said, it's still pretty good. But, so what are your thoughts on Spider-Man? Sam Raimi's Spider-Man when it comes to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one, which of course will be Spider-Man 2. And I still don't know if I want to watch this or Spider-Man 2.1. I don't know if there's a difference, but you know.